Welcome to the Centre Ice UK podcast. I'm your host Raymond, and thanks for joining me on what is probably the last pod of the year from me. Who knows, I might have a surprise or two for you depending on a few things coming through. I'll keep you updated on that if it comes to pass. If not, it'll be a couple of weeks break for the holidays. Christmas also marks virtually the halfway point in the Rapid Solicitors Elite League, and we're still not that much closer to knowing the fate for any side in the table. Belfast are on top at the moment, 7 points clear of Dundee. Braehead on the same points but with a game in hand over the Giants, and those two actually play a double header just after Christmas. Then you can factor in as well, only 5 points separate second to sixth, and 6 points between 7th and 10th, so there's plenty of scope for change in the standings very quickly. As always, if you want to let me know what you think of the podcasts, suggestions, or if you maybe wish to contribute, then just drop an email to me, comments@centreiceuk.com. Remember, you can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/centreiceuk. You can also follow on Twitter @centreiceuk. Time to drop the puck at Centre Ice and start your first period. Last week's results, starting from Friday night, one match on only, and that was at the Odyssey Arena in Belfast. The Giants edged out the Fife Flyers 3-2 in overtime. Saturday night's fixtures clocked up 34 goals, starting with Hull's convincing 7-1 victory at home to the Capitals. Giants were at home once more, this time defeating the Sheffield Steelers 5-2. The Devils picked up a superb 4-2 win at home to the Panthers, with backup Joe Myers in net. And a 13-goal thriller on the Premier Sports cameras up in Fife, with the Flyers winning 7-6 against the Braehead clan in overtime. On to Sunday, Edinburgh bounced back with a 3-2 home win over the Dundee Stars. Nottingham blew out the Braehead clan 8-0 in a league and cup match, and the Blaze melt the Steelers 4-1 in Coventry. Now on to the fixtures for this week. Wednesday night, and the Dundee Stars picked up a crucial 6-4 win away to the Braehead clan. On for Saturday, Stingrays host the Panthers, Coventry travel to Belfast, the clan take on the Flyers, and the live action on Premier Sports, it's the Sheffield Steelers versus the Cardiff Devils. On to Sunday, Cardiff are at home to Sheffield in the reverse of the previous night's fixture. Braehead go down to Coventry, Flyers are back home to play Hull, and Dundee host the Giants. That's the end of your first period. Second period is coming right up. Time now for the latest transaction news. Flyers forward Andy Kantonis is released to make way for Ned Lukiasevich from the Reading Royals of the ECHL. He bagged a goal and an assist in his debut against the Clan last weekend. He brings over 100 games experience in the AHL and over 200 in the ECHL. Ukrainian Nikolai Ladygin rejoins the Hull Stingrays. He iced for the club for 2 years when he joined the first time around back in 2006. He has most of his playing experience in the Eastern European leagues. Devils goalie Dan Lacosta was sadly forced to retire on medical advice due to his latest concussion sustained against the Braehead clan just a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure everybody wishes him well for the future. The club in the meantime have drafted an American Phil Cook and is expected to ice this weekend. Now for your discipline news. 2 items from the same match to tell you about. Flyers defenceman Matt Nickerson has been banned for 12 matches following review for his excessive roughness match penalty issued in the match against the Braehead clan last weekend. As per the process, all match penalties are subject to immediate review. You can read the full statement and breakdown of Maury Hansen's conclusions on the Elite League website. I'll leave the link on the Centre Ice website for you to read. Defenceman Kyle Horn has been assessed a 5+ game misconduct for checking from behind following a supplementary disciplinary request by Braehead. That 25-minute penalty will now be added to his playing record. Now, the fallout from this match has caused a lot of toing and froing from both sides in the media. Do you think that's good for the game and help form a stronger rivalry between both clubs, or do you think it's maybe gone a little bit too far? Let us know your thoughts. You can email comments@centreiceuk.com or tweet what you think @centreiceuk. That's your second period finished. Now let's get to the final stanza And on to our interview this week. As I mentioned last week, GB under-20s were in action throughout last week for their championship group section. The promoted GB side consolidated their position in the section with 2 wins from 5. They fell just short of a bronze medal, but still a lot to be proud of and plenty to build on for next year's group stage. I spoke to Chris Ellis from Ice Hockey UK about the tournament and a few other topics as well. Here's what he had to say. Let's start off with a bit of background first. Could you tell us how the opportunity to host the under-20s tournament first came about?
Well, every year the nations go to what's called Congress, and basically that's where you basically submit your bid. Sometimes you'll be up against teams from other countries who might also want to host the event, and then it will come down to a vote. Sometimes you'll be the only team wanting to host. And GB went in for 2 tournaments this year, the under-20s and under-18s. That's what Ice Hockey UK went for. They got them both. Of course, there's been 2 successful tournaments held in the UK recently, a women's tournament in Hull and a women's tournament in Dumfries. And it was off the success of the women's tournament in Dumfries where it was very popular and it worked very well, and Ice Hockey UK were happy. Dumfries and Galloway Council, who supported it, were very happy. The Ice Wing were happy and the IIHF were happy. So when Ice Hockey UK went in to bid this year and got the 20s and 18s, because of the size of the tournament and because of where it was, where it was pitched, Dumfries was an ideal place, and that's how it came about, really.
The link with the tournament was, of course, the appearance of the Stanley Cup. Just how much of a thrill was it on both a professional and personal level to preside over it in the country?
Well, it was amazing. It was a real honour, and from a personal level, I mean, I've seen it in the Hockey Hall of Fame, but obviously had your picture with it. It was very different to be there when it got wheeled into Glasgow Airport. And then everybody had their photos taken with it. There was a lot of media. Ironically, there was a lot of media there to see Celtic off on the Champions League trip. And then they all just came over. It timed perfectly for the BBC and ITV. And they came over and we got a lot of coverage from it. But to see it to come over, there was some servicemen from America, from Mississippi, who had been en route from Iceland to England. I think there was fog problems at Stansted. They got held up in Glasgow, and they just happened to be there. They were thrilled, and of course it arrived at the airport to a bit of a media frenzy, which was great, and it was fantastic. And the credit for that arrival has to go to Andy French, who's the Ice Hockey UK General Secretary. He pitched the idea, I know, to the Ice Hockey UK board many months ago, and I think some people thought he'd never be able to put it off, but he did. And it went down a treat, and not just at the airport where I know a number of people, including yourself, saw it, but a load of people then, of course, in Dumfries on the Wednesday afternoon in the ice rink, and then at the special 100-year dinner in the evening. And it really was a fabulous journey. In fact, there will be more on that journey, pictures and stuff available very soon. But yeah, it was a very special few days.
And just as you mentioned there, this is all tied to the centenary year of Ice Hockey UK. And when I was down in Dumfries, I seen a number of goodwill messages from other federations on display there. Just how far and wide have the message of congratulations been?
Well, almost. You named the Hockey Nation, and there were messages. There were, I think there was over 30 in the end. Obviously, the highlights were one from the Queen, one from Sebastian Coe. But obviously, all the nations and the big nations as well. I mean, the nation, the messages poured in, the messages of support and the messages of congratulations for what was going on, and all the powerhouse names, of course, that we looked to: the USA, Sweden, Finland, Canada, and then obviously the littler, I said the smaller nations, the likes of Estonia and so on. But if I have to list everybody, I'll be here probably for a week. But no, everybody sent their congratulations, and they were on show. First of all, in Dumfries, part of the Stanley Cup, the medals and the jerseys of Carl Earhart, who of course won the 1936 gold medal, was the captain when Great Britain won the Olympics, not only the Olympics, but the World and the European Championship. That was on show. Lots of other old ice hockey memorabilia for those letters too.
And for the tournament itself, how pleased were you with the media coverage gained, as I believe a number of both local and national outlets gave some coverage?
Yeah, we got excellent coverage. in Scotland. It started off because the tournament was underway, and obviously the local media, not just in Dumfries, but in Scotland, the BBC and ITV. The BBC and ITV came down 3 days in a row, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We managed to get previews on both channels. We then got into a system where they were showing the goals as well. The Stanley Cup obviously just added to that gloss and that as well. But the tournament as a whole was supported well by the local media in Dumfries, the national media, and we had a lot of buzz about the place. Undoubtedly, the Stanley Cup was the focal point, but as the week went on and sort of the hype of the Stanley Cup died down, the media kept on coming. And first of all, there was a slim chance that GB would get a bronze medal. That didn't turn out to be, because they failed to beat the Ukraine. And then it was all about survival, and that was another story in itself. And that became the big story. Could GB survive? And of course they did with that final day victory over Japan. But no, certainly in Scotland there was great coverage. It brought the game. A lot of the sport is centred on the bigger clubs in the elite league. Let's say Nottingham, Sheffield. Let's say Belfast. They get very good media coverage in their areas. But it's unusual that we get a huge amount of coverage. I know great strides have been made in Scotland recently by a number of people to up the coverage there, and obviously this another sort of feather in the cap really for British ice hockey to get the mainstream coverage on radio, television, newspapers, and online.
And what's the feedback been like from both the visiting countries and the IHF on the running of the tournament just last week? Have you heard anything of yet?
It has actually, and I was having a chat with Andy French only yesterday, and he said he'd already received a couple of bits of correspondence from two of the teams. One was Japan, I think the other was France, praising the organisation of the tournament. And it was an eye-opener for me as well, because previously I'd gone away to tournaments. I've been away to Latvia, I've been away to Hungary, and obviously there you go as GB media, and you see it from that point of view. And I hadn't seen the behind the scenes, and obviously I've been involved in the running of the Elite League playoff finals weekend, and know what a massive sort of setup that is. But this is another one. You have 6 nations who all have to be accommodated. They all have to be fed. They all have training. They all have games. They need buses. They need medical staff. And there was a lot of backroom work done by Jeff Hemmerman from Ice Hockey UK, Andy French, Mohammed Ashraf, the chairman and president, and I could name a lot of people, but the backroom staff, there was a number of backroom staff at all different levels, but it really was an eye-opener to me to see how much organisation. Now, I think look from afar and you might think it's all done, it's all very easy, but the guys who worked in the backroom staff, well, they made it look pretty easy. But no, the response from the IIH was good. IIHF was very good. They liked the venue. The venue was perfect for what it was. And again, the Dumfries and Galloway Council had a number of members of staff and the ice rink there who worked tirelessly, and the work behind the scenes, that I got to see was immense. But everybody went away happy. Everybody was really happy with the organisational things, and I think it's another tick in the box for Ice Hockey UK and for GB. And I have no doubt that more tournaments will be coming the way of GB very soon.
Now, with those recent successes in Great Britain hosting tournaments, including the Continental Cup just a couple of months ago, is hosting a senior level national tournament becoming a possibility for the future?
It's a very, very, very realistic possibility, and I don't think we are too far away. 1 year, 2 years max. The board at Ice Hockey UK have got a plan, and that is very much in their plan that they want to do this. If you hear interviews with Andy French or Mohammed Ashraf, both of them have already publicly stated that is their aim, that they want to get a men's senior world championship to the UK. They came very close a couple of years ago, very, very close indeed. It just wasn't to be. And I think now that GB have proved to the ice hockey world that they can hold tournaments. They can hold tournaments well, and I think they're well on the way to the next level. I think they want to bring 20s back again. I think they want to host a women's senior as well, and obviously the men's senior as well. That's obviously on an even bigger scale, and so on. But no, I would hope and I would expect within a couple of years you'll be seeing the GB senior tournament held in the UK.
And you mentioned earlier on there's another tournament coming to Dumfries next year. Could you give us a couple of quick-fire details about that?
Yeah, the under 18s is being held in Dumfries once more. It's, forgive me if I can't pinpoint the dates, it's the last week in March. All the details are on the Ice Hockey UK website. And the GB 18s, and they've got a real chance of promotion as well from 2A. They're in 2A at the moment, but what is good is the way the GB structure now is. It's, over the summer, of course, you couldn't fail to have noticed that there was a real overhaul in the structure of the GB national teams, and there was a real linkage between everything. Pete Russell, the under-20s coach, will go away with the seniors in April. Martin Grubb, who is the under-18s coach, he was there with the under-20s just last week, and very much part of the coaching staff, and very much part of everything. And there's going to be players, and led by, let's say, for example, 15-year-old Sam Duggan, who is one of the stars of the future. He played in the 20s. He got a lot of ice time. He will be a key cog in GB under-18s tournament. He's had this World Championship taste at under-20 level. He's not looked out of place in Division 1B. Just think how he'll look in Division 2A of the under-18s. And it's not just him. There's a number of players who will be able to do the same, who will be able to be called upon by Martin Grubb. And then, of course, you've got Mark Beggs, who was the under-18s coach. He's now National Talent Development Officer. All these players are coming under his guidance, his spotlight, and he's been at the tournaments as well. He'll be there at the 18s, and it's just, there's so much symmetry about the plan. There's a long-term plan for the future, who people like Andy French and Mohamed Ashraf will have obviously a lot to say and be someone very good for you to talk to. But yeah, so the 18th tournament again in Dumfries, and there's real anticipation that the GB can get a medal and go on, maybe go even better and get promotion.
And finally, just before we let you go, what is the best way for fans to keep updated for news on the national setup?
Well, really, the best ways at the moment are a number of ways. The Ice Hockey UK website, which is www.icehockeyuk.co.uk, www.icehockeyuk.co.uk. I mean, that's regularly updated with news from all levels, be it men's under-20s, under-18s, or women under-18s. There is a lot of news. As you can imagine, we're getting to that period of time now where the tournaments come thick and fast, and there's barely time to breathe, and there's another tournament around the corner. There's Ice Hockey UK TV. You've probably seen that we've got our own YouTube channel. We regularly updated things there from when the men went to Hungary. Did the same again with the 20s in Dumfries last week, and obviously plan to do the same with the 18s in Dumfries, and there'll be stuff going on. I say look out there for a feature very soon, imminently actually, on the tail of the Stanley Cup, almost like a tale of it arriving in Glasgow, going to Dumfries, being at the dinner, and then going back again, and it really is a fascinating story. There's already been a little bit about that in the 100-year dinner done by the IIHF, which was shown and put online by them a few days ago. But no, so keep an eye on our website, keep an eye on YouTube, and there should be regular stuff going up now, ahead of the tournaments for the 2014 IIHF season.
Well, Chris Ellis from Ice Hockey UK, thank you very much for your time and your insights today, and all the best for Christmas in 2014.
Yeah, and to you, and good to talk to you.
Many thanks to Chris again. I'll leave you the links to the Ice Hockey UK website and Twitter accounts. It's always worth keeping tabs on that for all your GB news there. My mystery guest unfortunately had to rearrange with me again due to bad weather delaying them and thus ultimately missing them. It'll be worth it in the end though, and their identity will be revealed after the interview is conducted. It will be worth the wait, and I'm sure you'll find it extremely interesting, the questions and topics discussed. That's it, thanks for listening. You can email your thoughts once more on comments@centreiceuk.com. You can like us on Facebook, that's facebook.com/centreiceuk. You can also follow on Twitter @centreiceuk. Thanks again to my guest Chris Ellis, and big thanks to you all again for listening. If I don't get to speak to you again, then I'll just wish you now all a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.